Oh, wait, are we starting? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're started now. Hey,
Okay.
everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Umar Free Con podcast. Today I'm excited. I'm joined by a childhood friend, Guillermo. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, it's nice to be here as well.
Dude, I woke up this morning and I had one of those Inception dreams. Like, it was so cool. It was like, at first, I was in Narnia doing Narnia stuff, fighting the witch and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I woke up from that and it was like real life. And I'm just like, it was as if I was waking up in my actual room and the sun is shining. I'm writing in my notebook. I'm like getting ready for the day, putting on my cologne, going down. I see my cat, I greet my cat. Breakfast is like smelling awesome. And then I wake up a third time and this is like real life. And I'm like, oh my God, like no way. But it
Yeah.
was so cool. It was so cool. And then also in that second one, it was like Ben Barnes wanted to be on my podcast. Damn, this is a cool dream. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the first time that I consciously experienced an inception dream, which I just
Okay.
think is so cool. A dream and a dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you're like lucid. It was you know what was going on. That's interesting. I don't think that's ever happened to me. I mean, I feel like the closest thing that I could say is like I wake up, but I'm so tired, I don't think I'm actually awake, so I go back to sleep kind of thing. Like I'm tired, so I think I'm in a dream, but I'm actually awake. But no, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday, usually I wake up at like 5:30, 5:45, 6,
Yeah.
and then I go back to sleep afterwards. And yesterday that happened to me. But from like 6 to 10 or 6 to 9, I was just in this like constant state of sleeping but not sleeping. Like
Mm.
I was asleep, but I also wasn't, and it was messing with my head. I was like so tired in that
Yeah.
state. That state alone made me so tired.
Yeah. No, I mean it's kind of crazy how important good sleep is, man. Like they have the with the sleep cycle they talk about, you gotta have the right amount of sleep time. It's weird too, because if you oversleep, your brain will enter like a certain like different parts of the sleep cycle you're not supposed to like wake up in, and it kind of
Explain
messes
that.
you up. It's like like REM sleep.
Explain it.
Here, let me shoot. Let me search up the sleep cycle really because they talk about it like when I was studying for the MCAT and stuff. It was like part of the yeah, here we go. So there's N1, N2, N3, and REM parts of the sleep cycle. And REM apparently is where you do the vivid dreaming. That's what it says here. N3 is deep sleep. N2 is light sleep. N1, I guess, is like you're just starting to sleep. And I forget which parts of the sleep cycle you're not supposed to wake up in. I think it's N3 when you're in deep sleep because I think that's whenever your brain is actually making efforts to kind of recover and making all those connections, getting ready for the next day kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know if I can't recall if it was something similar for you, but
Mm.
in middle school, high school, you could just stay up the whole night, maybe get an hour's worth of sleep, and then wake up for the bus, and you'd be fine. More or you'd be fine, right, for the rest of the day. Were you one of those guys as well?
Was that you over? Were you waking like sleeping for 1 or 2 hours?
There were definitely times I remember in high school where that would
No,
happen.
no, bro. I could not. I would sleep. So I think in middle school and high school, at least in high school, I remember sleeping around like 10 or something, maybe a little bit later, but not really because back in high school, I think I'd leave my phone downstairs. I mean now I take my phone upstairs, which is bad, right? Um, because you go on your phone before you sleep. But back in high school, I didn't do that, and I would still be really tired because how many hours? I would wake up. I had to wake up at 4:50. I'd wake up at 4:50 in the morning because I had to take my dog out on like a walk him before school. So how many hours is that? Like from 10 to 4. It's like 6, 7. I don't know. I was still super tired. Like I was dead tired in the morning. And I remember usually the first period, I would just kind of struggle to kind of try and retain everything, but I try my best. I don't know. I was not one of the people like you over who could just sleep like 1 or 2 hours and like good to go for the day. I don't
Yeah.
know.
You know, another thing that I think is interesting about this happening right now is you and me, we're really good friends in middle school. In
Yeah.
high school, we were still friends, but it just wasn't there. Like that connection was just so fragmented. We rarely
Yeah.
saw each other. And yet we've still stayed in touch up until this point. Isn't that so interesting?
It's crazy, bro. I've had like a similar experiences with others I've met, but it's like I think it's just because I mean it's not like we separated from like friendship or anything. It's just we had like different things we were doing. And so it's like you get distracted and you had different routes. I because we weren't like in the same classes in high school for if I remember that correctly. And I mean we went to like different colleges, um, different works. Hold on, wait 1 second. I
No worries. But yeah, that was a really cool dream, the Inception one. I'm just talking to myself, by the way. That Inception dream, oh my God, that was so cool. I woke up feeling happy. Ben Barnes on my podcast? That's cool.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah, I
bad.
was just
Sorry.
thinking to myself, you're good. Yeah. But I was like, man, just thinking about that Inception dream again. I was like, damn, son, that was cool.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
don't remember the last dream I had. It's been a couple weeks I think since I've had like a memorable dream. I will if we're talking about dreams though, like do you have a dream that's like something you'll never forget? Like it could be a nightmare or like a good dream. I don't know.
You know, so I write a lot, but I don't write my dreams. I don't have like a dream journal.
Yeah.
However, there are some specific dreams where if it was a good memory or if it was like hopeful or it meant something symbolic to me, I'll make sure I'll have it written somewhere. And it will usually have a place in my
Mm.
life, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anything specific. What about you?
I always remember the dream I had when I was little. So growing up, I have always been scared of like horror movies and stuff. Like, I don't know. I just get scared easily when it comes to that kind of things. I do like them. Like, I like getting scared. But when I was little, it would hit a lot more. And one Halloween, I like we had the TV on, right? My sister Giselle and I were watching TV and this like Halloween special came on where it was like a horror movie made by some high schoolers or something. And they were playing that and it was a zombie. It was like zombie themed. But I was like 7 or something, 7 or 8. And even though it was like not like a big production or something, it still scared me a lot. Like I was horrified. I was kind of scarred from that experience. But Gisela didn't mind. She just watched it. She could handle that stuff better than I could. But after that, like that night, I had like a nightmare that I would never forget. It was about of course, me and like a zombie apocalypse, but it was me. So it started out in elementary school at our elementary school, and it was recess, and we just found out like, oh, something's not right. Like, what's going on? And we kind of just figured out like zombies were happening. Like we saw them like across the street or something, and we were like, oh shoot, like we gotta go. Like I need to run. Like I need to get back to my house to like see my family. And so we took, I don't know if you remember I don't know if your elementary school had them, but whenever you went to recess, they would take everyone's lunch boxes in these like giant buckets.
Oh yeah, 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 little tubs. Yeah.
Yeah, so I we took those tubs and like kind of for some reason, so before there was no like wire fence or anything at our recess, but in the dream there was. And so we took the tubs and like tried to use them as step stools to get over the fence. And so I did, and I started running home and I saw people behind me like getting bitten, like becoming zombies, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was running home and like of course when you're running in the dream, you feel slow, right? But I got there eventually and I saw in front
Hmm.
of my house there was a moving truck, like a truck driver for some reason. Like my parents knew that as zombie apocalypse were happening, they were trying to move. But for some reason, whenever I got there, the truck driver, I asked him like what's going on? Like where are my parents? And he's like, I've been knocking at the door and no one's answering. And I was like, oh my gosh, my parents, they're zombies now. And that was like terrifying for me. And that's something, yeah, that's basically the dream. Like I'll never forget that. I
And
was so scared.
what was the moment right before you woke up? Was it that?
Yeah, it was that. It was finding out my family is gone, and I was so scared. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It was terrifying, bro.
How old were you when you had this dream?
Yeah, like 7 or 8. I was pretty young. It
Damn, son.
was, yeah. So I've always remembered that dream. I don't know.
Dude, it was February 2020 and I was playing The Last of Us for the first time. And I'm
Yeah.
playing this game and I'm like, "Oh, this is a cool game." But I'm like, "Thank God that's not the world we live in." And then literally a
Yeah.
couple weeks later, COVID and
Oh my
quarantine and stuff.
goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, how was that for you? Because I remember like the day it was announced, like, "Hey guys, stuff is serious. You got to stay home." I remember I was literally in my room. I threw my blankets over me, and I was
Mhm.
watching Edward Scissorhands, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, "Oh my God, we will never return to a world like this again." As if that movie was normal, but it's like we will
Yeah.
never return to a world like this again. Like we're now entering a forever changed world. And it did
Hmm.
feel like that because I remember when that whole pandemic started, for me, symbolically, it felt like I was crawling into a cave. And then when it ended, it was like I've suddenly now emerged on the other side of that cave into this new world. And it felt like almost everybody I knew from the past was gone. And now all I had, the only people I had to meet, the only people I had to befriend and kind of come across were new people. It really felt like a new world for me. And I'm curious what
Yeah.
that was like for you.
It was definitely a big shift. Of course, whenever it first started, everyone thought it was only gonna last a couple weeks, and I was in the same mindset. I was like, this is a nice break, I guess, you know, because I mean, I think we were both in school. I was in school when this happened, and I was just enjoying it at first, like many others. But whenever they said, "Yeah, this is gonna last a lot longer," this is becoming serious, it kind of I wouldn't say it like hit me hard or anything. It was just like something I had to adapt to and just kind of accept. So for me, the big thing was just getting used to online classes and not losing motivation because I feel like a lot of students had that issue where online classes were just so easy to distract yourself with. You would tell yourself, "Oh, the lecture's recorded. I don't have to watch," or "I don't have to turn on my camera. I'm gonna just be on my phone."
Were you
Like,
one of those guys that turned on your cameras?
turned on, turned on my camera or turned off my camera.
Turned on for
Turned
those
on.
meetings.
No, I mean only if it was only if it was like mandatory or like a meeting
Okay, okay.
because most of
Good.
the time, well, okay, it depended on the professor. Like if the professor was like someone who felt bad if they couldn't see the faces, and I'd turn on, the camera
Mm,
because like that's their job, they're trying to teach us, so I don't want to like be disrespectful. Um, but if it was just like a class where the lecture was just recorded or the professor was like going through the motion like yeah I just study this like I just, like no one would just have their cameras on.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
that was
yeah,
a time. That was a time in
yeah,
our lives.
it
And it feels
was.
like a dream ago, right? Like that feels like a dream.
Yeah,
That
yeah, it kind of
existence.
does.
Mm. It's as if nothing happened, you know?
Yeah, I mean we definitely still see the effects of COVID for sure. Like it's funny because talking about COVID, my cousin he just got COVID again. So like he's not feeling too great, but
Yeah.
he should be okay.
Yeah. I think what I was referring to more is like the mass hysteria. So remember there was a lot of that.
Oh
I remember
yeah,
feeling that in the air. Oh my God.
that's true actually. I totally forgot about that. The
Yeah.
the
That's why
panic.
it felt so apocalyptic to me. When I was talking about like The Last of Us and stuff, I was like, man, feels like we're living in an apocalypse.
Yeah, I think it just depended where you were looking because for me, I didn't see so much panic all the time. I mean, if you went to populated areas or like stores right when it happened, or if you were watching the news a lot, then I feel like you would see more of it. But I was kind of disconnected from a lot of that. I was just told like, "Hey, this is serious. We should not be close to other people." I was like, okay, like I'll just do my thing. And I will say it did have an effect, a big effect on, I guess, the way things were in social settings. Like, I remember when this happened, I had to get a solo dorm because, you couldn't be in proximity of other people. And I remember, so I went to Texas A&M. The school is like really big, but when COVID hit, there was like no one on campus. And that change was kind of crazy for me because like you were so used to seeing all these people interacting with so many people, like you were talking about earlier, like you had to kind of meet new people and it was so different, especially since most of the time you had to be in like your own room kind of thing. At least I was like I wasn't trying to expose myself too much. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to A&M a couple of times, and this
Mm,
one night that I was staying there, I got up early in the morning, maybe like 5, 6, and I was just kind of walking outside my friend's dorm. I was looking
yeah.
around, and I'm like, man, this feels like one of those places where somebody dies in the cornfields.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you felt at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna die here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but it really is like another world. It really is its own town. So when you're talking about it being just so empty,
Yeah.
that's definitely an image in my head. Wow. That's another world on its own.
Yeah. Bro, whenever you're talking about someone dying at A&M, that reminded me of Before I talk about it, is this podcast like rated? What was like the rating? Like
It is so casual. It is just so casual.
so is rated R okay or
Go
like
ahead.
okay? Like I guess it's weird to bring this up, but because you're talking about like criminal stuff at A&M, like there was uh this one dude who was like a criminal there. Like it was actually scary because he was a student, and what he would do, he would break into people's dorms at night, and when they're sleeping, he would like, you know, uh, what's the word? I guess ejaculate. Um, and it was so scary, bro. Whenever I heard that, I was like, that's crazy that someone like that goes here, you
And was he
know.
caught?
Yeah, he was caught. Yeah, thankfully he was caught.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah,
Is this
I've that
pre-COVID or post-COVID?
that's a good question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure to be honest. I don't remember.
That's a
But
crazy story.
yeah,
There was one story that these
it was
folks
crazy.
introduced me to. They showed me a flyer. They're like, "Hey, this cult it comes around," and they tried to like talk to you about the Mother of God and this and that. And I
Yeah.
saw the flyer, and I was like, "Wow, it's wild." And he's like, "They're like an actual cult, and it gets intense or something like that." I don't know if you're
Oh,
familiar with that,
at
but
A&M?
at A&M,
Oh, well, I mean, there were several different like religious groups that would come to campus and kind of advertise. I don't think I've seen that one. I don't think I saw
yeah,
that one.
but yeah, just those times that I went to A&M, it was nice. It was cool. I got to meet some cool folks, but. Yeah, I still remember to this day, like standing out there in the middle of the night, the morning, early morning, and I'm just kind of like looking out, being like, wow, this is one of those places you see in a movie where somebody dies in the cornfield, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But dude, I
Yeah.
wanted to talk a bit more about like the memories that you and me shared. Is there a
Yeah.
particular memory that you have? Like, I remember that. I always remember that.
Funny enough, I was thinking about it yesterday. Because I actually, so after, so I told you about what happened with Chase, unfortunately, and it was really sad to hear. Especially since he was my neighbor and we used to play outside all the time. But Ryan Donovan, he was part of our group. I think you remember him. Yeah, he was a lot closer with Chase. Like he stayed in contact after middle school, um, and into college. So it hit him really hard. And I used to be best friends with him too, and like when we were children. And so we reconnected. And one of the things that we talked about was how things were so different in middle school and how him and Chase used to fight. And then it kind of led to because we were talking about like people we back in then and it was like, oh yeah, like Omer used to get on your case too. So I just remember you always like messing around with Chase and Ryan. Bro, you would get them so mad. I don't remember what you would do, but yeah, that's
I
something I
was
remember.
I was a different guy in seventh grade.
Bro, you were an instigator. I remember that. Like you would it was just random stuff too. You would like just say random stuff like just to try and like mess with them.
Yeah, it was. I
Yeah.
remember that. That was a phase for me, definitely in seventh grade. And I was reflecting. I've always told people like, yeah, I was a different person in seventh grade. And
Yeah.
it's interesting how people transform. But
Hmm.
one of the memories actually that because I was thinking about Chase too.
Hmm.
I was honestly very saddened. The day I found out, I was like, I remember driving around Cyprus, and I was like, damn. I drove past Spillane. I was
Yeah.
like, me and that guy, we definitely did we were definitely on that track at some point, you know?
Hmm.
And I was thinking about one of the memories that I had with you in there as well. It was Miss Flint's class, you know? She's such a
Yeah.
cool teacher and we had a end of the year project PowerPoint thing and Chase was in our group and That was just such a fun time, to end that year. It was just good vibes. And I specifically remember that, and it's interesting how time passes. But another
Yeah.
memory I had was Miss Dodd's Spanish class, and she was awesome. I think that's where I met you actually.
Miss Dodd, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
she was
that.
awesome too. And I remember we came into that class one day, and this is kind of like a sad memory, but
Yeah.
she was like, she started crying. She's like, guys, you got to know how lucky you are to be here, and this and that and whatever. And I don't think any of us understood what was going on, but that was the day that Sandy Hook happened.
Oh,
And I just
really?
remember her in tears. I don't know if you remember that, but I remember her in tears. And she was really, that
Yeah.
really got to her. But yeah, those are just some memories I had.
Yeah. No, I have memories too. Just I most of the time it's just of us doing random stuff. But I mean, I remember one of one memory I have is one of my birthday parties we had at paintball. And I remember you were really into it. You were really enjoying the paintball, and I don't know, I don't remember if who did it, but someone shot Ryan in the crotch,
No.
and yeah, and I remember Ryan got, oh my gosh. Okay, I remember there was like this one, it was like it wasn't the speedball map, but it had like the same kind of layout where it was kind of just on the ground and there was like obstacles and whatnot. And Ryan got blasted in the face and I just remember his helmet being covered in paint. That was one of my memories.
Mm.
But yeah,
Now that you mention that, I vaguely remember.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy. But no, yeah, I just remember having a lot of fun with y'all. I remember I still remember you were really into Assassin's Creed back then as well. And yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Assassin's Creed. Dude, so when Mirage came out,
yeah.
I remember I didn't really care.
Hmm.
And that was a stark turning point for me. I was like, wow. It felt like, okay, like growing up in a way. And it was like, damn, I really just don't care. And then they announced that Japanese one. And I found out, I think, like a day or two later. Usually I'm on it, like I know.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh. And then I watched the trailer, I was like, okay. Like it's interesting how you grow up and all the changes you have. Assassin's Creed will forever have a place in my heart, but
Yeah.
it's interesting. It's interesting how people change.
Yeah, like your hobbies, I guess. I guess the things that you were obsessed of in the past aren't as much as a an obsession now kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I also think that like just these things make you who you are. They shape your identity,
Yeah.
and it's like in your life at a particular time for a particular reason. But when it no longer needs to have that effect on you, whatever it might be, then it just kind of moves on.
Yeah. I can agree with that. It's I mean it's a bit sad to think about, but I guess sometimes things just fulfill their purpose and you kind of just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But
I will say though, like another thing I was reflecting on was, that office quote. It's kind of cliche. They always say it everywhere. Something about how I wish you knew you were in the good times before like they move on or something like that.
yeah.
Um, Middle school was not a fun time in my life. Eighth grade was good, but
Yeah.
low key, like that was kind of a good time.
Yeah.
If you look back at it, you're like, oh yeah, all the things that were going on, especially culturally. It's like, oh yeah, it was we were blessed to experience that.
I agree. I definitely think our my middle school experience was definitely something I would cherish and I regret some things. from middle school, but I think I did the best that I could have, who I was at the time. Like sometimes I was so arrogant or lazy when I was in middle school, but it was good times. And I mean, I can't relive it, but I'll definitely always remember him, those years spent in Spillane. Same thing
Yeah,
with high school. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. It's nice to look back at those things as warm memories,
Hmm.
but also I don't think I'd ever do that again, to be honest with you.
Really?
I don't think I would ever like go back. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. You can enjoy the memories and like them for that, but it's like, yeah, like I'm moving on.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go back to that. I'm just continually evolving.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would not go back, but for like a different reason. For me, it's just like if I had the ability to go back in time to like change something or like kind of like do better and so I don't think I would because I just don't feel it's right. Like I don't think it's the right thing to do. And what I mean by that is I feel like it would be a disservice to kind of who I was back then and to kind of go back and like with the knowledge I have now kind of thing is like, oh yeah, if I could go back in time and like redo something. Because I mean those experiences are what made us kind of thing, you know? So I might have made some mistakes, but I don't think it'd be right to fix those kind of thing, you know?
Fiona Apple, she has a song. I don't remember the full lyrics exactly, but she says something like, every print I've left on the track has led me here. And I know by like the idea being that whatever I do now is going to make sense a year from now. Like as time goes on, you see how little by little the little things we do add up and how they get us to where we are right now. And it doesn't make sense exactly when you're in motion, but then you look back, you're like, oh, okay, okay, so that's why that happened. That's why that happened. And yeah, it's just the constant unfolding.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, it's just stuff that we do, man. Just lead us to where we are now. I don't know. But I'm glad with how things have turned out. You know, I'm glad even through all of the stuff we've been through, middle school, high school, college, COVID, work now. Like it's been a ride and I hope I could continue to grow and improve myself. And I think that's something that everyone tries to do. At least everyone that I've met, they're like trying in some way to find purpose or to find ways to improve in their life, kind of thing. And I guess I mean, I don't want to go like purpose of what's the purpose of life kind of thing, but I think that's part of it. It's like just trying to like continue to grow as a person, you know?
Yeah. And to know that you're never gonna fully make it.
Yeah, and
Anthony
accepting that.
Bourdain, and I gotta start memorizing these quotes, but Anthony
Yeah,
Bourdain, he has a quote where it's something like that, where like maybe it's enlightenment enough to know that you're never gonna fully be there. You're never gonna fully get it all.
yeah.
And that's okay. You just gotta keep going.
I think that's a very important message for a lot of people because a lot of people aren't satisfied with where they're at or they're so focused on reaching that goal of theirs that they just kind of they don't always accept that they might not ever be perfect, you know, like be who their perfect idea of themselves is, but it's kind of like there's perfection in progress, I think, you know, in a sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Dude, this was cool. This was candid. This was casual.
Yeah.
But we're coming to a close. We got like 3 minutes on the clock. I'm
Oh
curious.
no.
Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you felt like you wanted to say we didn't get a chance to, or something on your
Uh,
mind you wanted to express?
I want to say, thank you for having me here, Omer. And I'm really happy to see you. And I'm glad. I mean, I didn't really get to ask how you were doing. How are you doing, Homer? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, thankfully I am, especially today, man. That inception, I don't know how to put it into words exactly, but having
Yeah,
that dream just made me wake up happy.
that's good. I'm glad to see you're doing all right, man. It's like you said, it's crazy how we've kind of just stayed connected somehow. And
Yeah,
uh yeah, no, I'm just happy to be able to do this with you and to talk with you again and kind of catch up on things a little bit, you know?
yeah. Have you been to Peru ever? I can't remember.
Our family's talked about it several times. We haven't gone yet, but we do plan to go sometime. We were actually thinking of going maybe this summer, but I don't know, it's kind of dangerous right now.
Really?
Like, yeah, at least that's
Oh,
what our grandparents go more often than I mean, we haven't gone, I guess, but they go once every like couple years and they talk about, yeah, you got to be careful. It's not safe everywhere, obviously. But yeah, so we're thinking of going maybe. We'll see. We might go somewhere else.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
Peru. What a cool place.
Would you
What a
want
cool
to go
place.
there?
I would, and I something I was thinking about was like me and you were such good friends for like that time in childhood, and I knew you were Peruvian, but I never really looked too much into that culture, like other than
Yeah.
Machu Picchu. But especially like in my late teens, I was like really into the Incas. Man,
Oh
what a
yeah.
fascinating culture. Wow, it'd be so cool to go over there. This game came out at that time, dude, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it's like set in
Yeah.
Peru, and I was like, "God, this is so cool." So yeah, yeah, I would. But yeah, dude, good talking to you. Until next time, eh?
Yes, I'll see you later,
One
man.
Cypresian to another.
Yes, sir.